Hey, it's Adon here, AdonCoin.com, where I teach you how to play in DADGAD guitar. This lesson we're going to learn a reel called A Cup of Tea. It's a 3-part reel. The first part is in E minor, and the second and third part are in D. And we're going to have Mr. Fiachra Hayes on the fiddle playing it for us. We're going to play it at regular speed right now, and then we're going to slow things down. We're going to bring up the chord charts, and we're going to go through everything nice and slow. Let's give it a go. Great, so we'll take this in 3 sections. We'll start nice and easy and we'll build up things as we go along. So if you ever want the chord charts, I'll leave them on my website. I'll leave the link down in the description, and I'll try and have the tabs for you there as well. So part 1, you can play it with just 2 chords if you want. So that's starting with this E minor. So I play it with my 2nd, 3rd and 4th finger on the 2nd fret of the low D, A, and then your middle D string. And you have this open G to get your E minor chord. Now I don't really play those high notes, so you want to get your strum to just focus in on the lower 4 strings. And try and avoid those high ones. You can mute with your little finger if you want as well up here. So we'll focus on the strum now for part 1. And I kind of do this down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. And then into this D chord or D modal chord, 1 finger chord. So how we go it again is down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. And it's a mute on the up, down really. Down, down. And I'm doing that just to kind of follow the groove of the tune just in part 1. And then in part 2 and 3, the strum just reverts to a normal real jig. And I have a video on that as well. I'll leave that in the description as well. So just once again, the simple version of part 1, you can play with 2 chords. Just going to be E minor, E minor, E minor, and D. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, and D. So part 2 changes key and opens up with a big D major chord. So you can play this with the 3-finger version. And if this is too much for you, then you can play your D modal, but it is nice to get that D major in there with the F sharp and have those high strings ringing out as well. So the simple version of playing part 2 and 3 would be to play around with this inside skeleton scale based around this D major chord. And I have plenty of videos on the channel about playing around with that inside skeleton scale, and I'll leave that right up here for you. You can check that out. So that'd be the simple version of playing part 1, 2 and 3. So part 1 again in E minor to D, and then you're playing part 2 and 3 would be messing around with this D major and inside skeleton scale. So we'll have a listen to that, and then we'll start building upon that. you're enjoying things so far, do give it a thumbs up. It helps out quite a lot, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any DADGAD lessons, Irish songs and guitar techniques. Great, so the next thing we can do is start adding on to what we've learned so far. So we had this E minor and D in part 1. We can maybe start replacing that D with some other chords just for fun. So I like to slide up to this G shape, and you have this octave G. And the reason I use this octave G, it's good for sliding around. You can go from the G up to an A. Or what I did before was going from this G down to this F sharp, back to the G again. So once again. So G, F sharp, G, and then the second time around. G, A. Of course, you can keep things as simple as you want. You can go back to that D again, E minor. Back to that D. So you have options there to play around with, and that's what you'll see me doing in the video. So then in part 2 and 3, where we had that big D major chord, and we're using the inside skeleton scale to follow the tune a bit and use our ears. Excuse my lilting. So the next thing to add on there would be to maybe play some of the bass notes, like the outside skeleton scale. We're basically playing around with that D major scale on the outside as well as the inside, getting different tones. There's a nice pause there on that G chord there as well. So you can have bass runs going down from this F sharp to the E down to the D, and you can keep your little finger in place if you want. Just so once again, outside. So there's no hard and fast rules, it's just a bit of playing around and trying to follow the tune using your ears, and it's best to just listen to the tune lots of times and see what works, see what doesn't, and enjoy it. So the next thing you might want to focus in on are dynamics, maybe getting some muting involved with your right hand. So for the part 1, so instead of having it always open, which might sound like this, it's just harsh. You want to kind of tame things down, and the way to do that is using muting with your right hand just around the bridge here, and it's a bit of give and take and a bit of trial and error. If you go too far, it's going to just be completely muted. You're trying to look for that sweet spot. So after that, then instead of using your E minor chord here, you can do a bar chord minor, or a bar chord E minor chord. Bar chord E minor chord. And it's just like a capo is on, and it's like a D minor shape, except you're using your finger to do it. And that allows you to get those higher notes out. Might be a bit tough, and then outside of that, you can start playing around with your little finger and maybe having a bit of fun with that. Might take a bit of getting used to, and jumping back into the G chord, those octave shapes we've done before. Stuff like that. So that'd be something you could work on for part 1. Finally, in part 3 of the tune, you might see me doing some pull-offs just to follow the tune a bit. Something like that. So what I'm doing there is my second finger is just pulling off that F sharp note onto a D. And I sometimes do a pull off here as well, just on the 2nd fret, pulling off that E minor or E note onto a D. And then maybe going for a 2-finger G up to a 2-finger A. That'd be something you could mess around with as well and try and follow the tune. Also on the inside you could do it as well. It's just a bit of fun. Well, I hope you got some value out of that. If you did, please let me know in the comments. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more. And if you did like it, you might also like this video here, which is where I played a Fox Hunter's Reel with Fiachra Hayes as well, teaching that one. I also have a DADGAD course. I'll leave that in the description. You can check that out. I'll talk to you on the next one. All the best.